This is Calvin Castine. It's the 13th of May, Tuesday morning, and we're at the former Imperial wallpapering facility, Imperial Mill, at the end of Main Mill Street in Plattsburgh, where Cross-Border Development has called for a 10 o'clock press conference to make an announcement concerning this facility. We're in one of the many buildings. I believe there is a total of 500,000 square feet within the confines of the buildings here at Imperial. I'm sure there are many former employees who know their way around here very well, but it looks like it's a place that somebody could easily get lost in. This apparently was some kind of a storage room. I would assume maybe a finished products storeroom rather than a raw material storeroom.
Founder and president of Cross-Border Development Corporation. We're in the business of bringing new business and industry to the North Country, and we've been doing that since 1981. If you're not sure how long ago that was, in 1981, I was skinny and Jack the Duke was fat. On Tuesday of last week, the Imperial Home Decor Group officially sold its facility in Plattsburgh to Main Mill Street Investments Corporation, a real estate holding company which is controlled and owned by Rex Jacobsma of Paso Robles, California. The Imperial Paper Mill, as we know it, consists of more than 500,000 square feet of industrial space and more than 45 acres of land. Not since the closure of Plattsburgh Air Force Base has so much industrial land and so much industrial space suddenly become available. The new owner, who prefers to remain behind the scenes, will develop the property as an industrial apartment complex. By this I mean he will solicit and secure as many as 40 to 50 different companies to occupy space in this building. And if history repeats itself, we will see warehouse and distribution companies, light manufacturers, and assembly operations employing as many as several hundred people. And by the way, the precedent for this already exists. In Champlain, New York, CDC was very pleased to have played a critical role in the redevelopment of the Harris Graphics facility. That building is about half the size of this one. It currently houses a little more than 40 companies and employs almost 200 people. The Susie leasing facility, by the way, in Champlain has been at full capacity for almost 5 years now. To accomplish his goal of utilizing this facility, Mr. Jacobsma has assembled a very experienced team of professionals, beginning with David Gray, the facilities manager and a former executive with the Myers Group, William Owens, who is the managing partner with the Harris Beach Law Firm. They are the law firm that managed to overcome, as some of you know, a myriad of legal hurdles to get us where we are this morning. And of course, CDC, represented here by me, but also by Matt Ware, our vice president, who candidly is the man who put this deal together. But it doesn't really matter how good of a team you have if you're working in an unfriendly environment. And Rex Jacobsma learned from day one that the city of Plattsburgh is indeed a friendly place in which to do business. And I sincerely believe that but for Dan Stewart's early intervention and the lengths to which he went to make sure that this deal happened, we probably wouldn't be here this morning. So it's my pleasure to introduce the mayor of the city of Plattsburgh and a very savvy businessman, I might add, Dan Stewart.
This is a good day. This is really good for us in the city of Plattsburgh to have this large piece of property down here coming back into ownership of somebody who will do something with it. And as you know, Imperial's been sitting on it for a number of years. Numerous jobs were lost here at one point. The Community Development Office has been working diligently with different companies trying to bring them into this building, and we'll be setting up another meeting very soon with the site manager to make sure that all operations here move along smoothly. The city stands ready to move this whole project forward and to make sure that this building is reutilized to its full potential. I want to thank Mark Barry for his hard work on this. Mark, he's done a great job on this. It's taken a period of time, and I'd call up Mark and he'd say, just give me a little while longer, just give me a little while longer. And it's close, it's close. And then last week I was in D.C. when I found out that the building had been sold. And that's the most important point today, is the building is actually sold. Okay, it's in someone else's hands. It's not part of Imperial Home wall decorating coverings people that we flew out to Cleveland to beg to stay here and do things. It's in the hands of Rex Jacobsma, and I think he's going to do a great job. I've had the pleasure of meeting with him a few different times, making sure that we can get this thing moving forward. And I think it's going to be a great thing to the city of Plattsburgh and adds more spacing in to the overall development going on in this area. Mark talked about potentially a few hundred jobs in here, and I know that there are hundreds of other jobs just waiting to be announced locally. So this is a good sign for our economy, and we continue to be a leader in New York State on economic growth. Thank you.
We're going to answer your questions. We've got the experts here to help us do this. And by the way, we've also got Rosemary Schoonmaker of the city.
Mike,
to our counselors. We're going to put them to work as we start bringing in tenants. Fire away. If there's anything difficult, I'm going to refer you to my attorney. We're working today with our bill. Go ahead.
Dan, you mentioned something about the city standing ready to do whatever it needs to do to move this forward.
Yeah.
Anything in particular in the
Oh,
way
well,
of
yeah.
tax breaks, municipal lighting, electrical rate breaks?
Well, the
anything
thing
like
is that when you practically subdivide a building like this, you have to have electrical, water, sewer, metering, those types of things have to be done. And we will work with the owners to make sure that they're done in the most efficient, expeditious manner possible, so they can bring tenants in as soon as possible. Rose?
Yes, it's also part of the New York State City of Plattsburgh Empire Zone.
Which means there are tax credits, numerous tax credits available through the state of New York, which will help with the redevelopment.
And those tax credits are not peculiar to this deal, but they had a lot to do with us putting this deal together.
Can you talk a little bit more about what types of businesses, companies will be moving in?
I don't think we're going to see anything different than what we've seen at its little sister in Champlain. We're going to see assembly and distribution operations, light manufacturers, possibly some warehouse and distribution operations. In fact, we have one here now. One of the major brokerage firms is here with a warehouse and distribution operation and already occupying about 150,000 feet. But I'll defer to my market expert here to give a great information on that.
No, I'd say that there's a great deal of office space which has not been in hot demand, but I'd say over time that may change as the area continues to grow. There's a lot of vacant land with a lot of possibilities, especially closer to the dam in that area. So, a lot of potential.
And the city has no, this is it for industrial space.
And how many jobs do you think?
Yeah, that's tough to estimate because you could get a small company occupying 5,000 feet, handling something that's small, and they would put together 25 people to work, and then you get somebody like Darren who's got 150,000 feet. How many people do they have? That's like 10 or 15. So it varies. The only pattern that we have to go on is what happened at the Harris Graphics facility in Champlain. I think they're approaching a couple hundred with about 40 companies. But we've got a lot more going for us here. The city of Plattsburgh is a great place to do business. We have the Empire State Zone, which means there are benefits available to individual tenants. This is a humongous complex with lots of loading, truck level loading docks. We've got the cheap electricity, there's gas, and we literally have everything. This is it should have been, at least some people thought it was going to be a white element. I think it's going to turn into a golden goose. I just didn't Wow. I said that about the Air Force Base before my contract expired.
This one you can prove. Right here.
Keep it up. You'll never get a tea time. Something serious. Calvin?
Did you mention the square footage?
I'm
Did you
sorry?
mention the square footage?
It's in the press release, 500,000 square feet and about 45 acres.
Yeah,
You're
that's
saying
probably more than 500,000, so that's the best estimate.
That's available? You said Daringer's already using 150?
Yes.
So you got 500 available or 350
No,
available?
500 less than 150. We got 350.
Okay.
Actually, I think that's where Jack Paducas is lost somewhere in the building.
He's probably around E-Town at the chemical spill. Do you know how many people were employed here when Imperial was at its peak? 648?
Is that just an estimate?
6:48. Around between 6 and 7.
Press your public, not the time. They're accurate.
Is the dam part of the deal?
It's the dam is what we call it.
The dam is a separate parcel deal, okay? And ownership of the dam is in question right now. Because way back in the early 1800s, there are records which show this dam, but the ownership has to be cleared up. We've been working with DEC on that.
Bill said you
Can I handle that?
You're doing a fine job.
Am I doing all right? Okay.
Well, I know there was talk of making plans.
Well, of course, now I was at a waterfront committee meeting last night. We would like to have the dam lowered to open up the salmon fishery, okay? But the new owner has some ideas of how to use that dam to create energy, potentially. And it's, which would, of course, if it produces enough energy, actually, the city of Plattsburgh could buy some of it, and be less dependent on the power authority.
The attorney's silence there suggests his modesty, but I'll embarrass him. That was probably one of the most difficult parts of putting this deal together, the legal ramifications of that dam, and somehow the law firm managed to get through it. I don't know if you want to explain that or touch on it, but I think, at least for now, we got us through the closing, and now it's up to it.
I think the mayor accurately depicted the situation. We had title issues relative to the property as to who owned it and or who had responsibility for it if even ownership was determined. So those are issues we're still working through with the DEC.
But we're going to work with them to find a solution to it. And if it turns out that the state owns it somehow, or the city, then we'll look at what we can do. If it can be used for energy, use it for energy. If we can lower it for the fishery, lower it for the fishery. But that's all to be determined.
What's nice is that with the law firm, the mayor's office, the DEC, with the new owner, and the state, there's been nothing but cooperation from day one. And I think if that were not the case, the buyer would have been scared away. And in fact, I think in the past, because we didn't have the right team, some of the buyers were scared away, and we managed to get through it. Thanks in large part to the city, fairly sharply.
What's the timetable for this whole project?
Well, we're in business right now. We're waiting for this green light to go on for almost a year. We started marketing this space when Imperial owned it, but Imperial, for reasons good and bad, chose not to allow any leases unless they were significant. We were told, don't bring us a lease unless they're 100,000 feet or over. That's not easy these days, but we found one. And then that kind of primed the pump, and then we started getting nibbles in the building, and then we were able to convince the new owner that this thing was a go, and we could replicate what we've done in Champlain. So it's official now, and we've got an owner and a facilities manager. We can bring them tenants now of 2,000 square feet or 200,000 square feet. CDC will be marketing this aggressively all across Canada, which is where our strengths are, and of course right here in the North Country. We're projecting is that as companies start coming in here, they will grow, they will expand here. Some will get big enough and brave enough to go out on their own. So this literally can be a perpetual economic engine that incubates company, grows until they're big enough, frees them, brings in some more, and just keeps on going, kind of like the gift that keeps on giving. That's why the mayor likes it so much, I think. And so the city of Plattsburgh now has literally a brand new industrial park.
Which is something we've really wanted for a long time. And we have full faith that CDC pulling this off. And, Rose has already held meetings in her office that I've sat in on with potential companies to come to this building. We're also working directly with Mark. So this is definitely a team effort.
Anything else?
Any potential deals near fruition?
Nothing we can talk about at this point.
Okay.
We're talking to a number of tenants. The city, of course, does some pretty good marketing of their own. I'm sure they're talking to a few people. I know they're talking to a few people. We'll let you know as soon as it's official.
Are there some already in here?
This is great, because mine is a part that could say, it's really none of your business right now. We'll get through. I'm sorry, Joe.
Are there some already in here?
Derringer, probably one of the largest brokerage firms in the world, is occupying about 150,000 square feet of space. And they've got about 15 people. They're doing warehousing and distribution. And that may not be significant. I mean, governors don't come and cut ribbons for that kind of a deal. But let me tell you, it's the first. And first tenant is always the most difficult in this operation. There's cars, there's activity, and where there's one, there's more. And we'll prove it. In the next year or so, you'll see some more tenants, I'm sure. So, yeah, you can. You're pretty lucky. It's tough. Two years of bad investment was liberating, isn't it? I think so.
Don't tell them that.
Anything else? We thank you for coming to this dark place. Man.
Think about it.